The number you have reached, 911, has been changed to a non-published number.
Hi there, welcome to CLTV. I'm your host, Ken Lammers, and we're going to go through the best of the crim law web, or the best as I saw this last week at least. We're going to start out today with Blonde Justice. Now, Blonde Justice had a posting which she labeled as being from a mailbag, but apparently actually came from a commenter. And she gets this comment about somebody who's upset because his public defender talked to another public defender, and he's thinking about filing a malpractice suit, or at least that's as best as she's able to hash out from the comment. And she points out that, well, it's pretty much regular practice and accepted by the bar that people within the same office or the same, public defender's office will talk to each other because it helps to make the case. I mean, it helps when one lawyer talks to another lawyer about, well, what about this new area of the law, or what about this, part of, what about these facts, or how does Judge Smith act about this, that, and the other thing, how hard a sentencer is he, that sort of thing. Those are all helpful facts that can come from talking to people in your own office. And she goes on further to say, and even if there is a technical violation here, what's your damages? Because the violation wouldn't be something meant to harm you, and it'd be very hard to show something that in this communication actually did harm you, because most of the time, if there's help to be had, if your case wasn't so bad that help isn't, that no amount of help's going to do any good, if there's help to be had, that's what you're going to find by talking to another attorney. You're going to find out that Judge Smith is pretty lenient if you approach him in this way. Or you're going to find out that these facts don't really make that case. Or that the law changed 2 weeks ago. Things that could be helpful rather than harmful. And so, in the end, I think she's right. And I commend the article to you, the post to you, and I have a link for you to go read it. Next, we get to Simple Justice, another justice. And yes, I do know Simple Justice made it last week and is making it this week. It's hard not to have a good post when you post about a gazillion posts a day, all of which actually have some substance to them. I'm not sure that Simple Justice sleeps. Anyway, it's a post about what happens after you lose an appeal. And in particular, how you already feel terrible, and you have to tell the person that the appeal got lost, and how you tried to prep them ahead of time by explaining to them that winning an appeal is not something that usually happens. It's a long shot, but how they never listen to you, and in particular how that jailhouse lawyer who spent those 8 or 10 hours in the massive jail library, knows that you argued theory A, B, and C when you should have argued theory X, Y, and Z. And why did you lose his case? And why did you argue the wrong thing? And so, it's something that anybody who's done any kind of appellate work and been forced to take an appeal that you could never win has experienced. And apparently, Simple Justice hadn't experienced it all that much, but he knows what it's about. Beyond Simple Justice, we come to another blog which has made it for the second week in a row, Matlock Blog. This week, Matlock Blog is comparing, do you want a zealot to represent you, or do you want an advocate to represent you? And what he means by that is, do you want a zealot being someone who's, very dedicated to certain causes, like, I represent death penalty cases because I oppose death penalty, as opposed to an advocate who, I represent you in a death penalty case, and the difference being, at least possibly, potentially in theory, that the zealot may get engrossed in some theory or some attempt to prove something, or actually, caught up in trying to make the argument to do away with the death penalty. Whereas the advocate's going to look at the facts in your case and be more realistic, tell you what's going on, and apply the facts and the law in a way most favorable to you. Now, I don't know, that's really 100% favorable way of characterizing the two different types. I think what he's talking about as an advocate, I have called before on the blog True Believers, and 95 to 98% of the time, you want the advocate, because the advocate, he sizes things up, he knows what's going on, he gets it, he can give you an honest perspective, and he gets it done the best way possible for you. The zealot, on the other hand, he's the guy that's going to go to the mat, go to the wall every time, and he's going to argue that exotic theory. He's going to argue that, set of facts which everybody else in the courthouse knows that Judge Jones has turned down 20 times. And, advocates are usually better for the moment. Zealots, true believers, they every once in a while hit that home run, which makes things better in the long term. And so it's kind of one of those things that I think they both have their roles, but you have to decide who you want representing you when you go to court. Of counsel is briefing us up on the Nichols case, and for those of you who don't remember, Nichols was the guy who was being taken to court, I think, for a rape case, and overpowered the female deputy and killed the judge, and I think shot a couple other people, maybe killed another one, and held a lady hostage when he got outside the courthouse. He held a lady hostage in her home until he finally gave up. Well, he's set for trial, and I think it's even a capital murder trial. But they ran out of money to pay the defense attorneys, and I mean the government ran out of money, I guess, in its budget to pay the defense attorneys, and the judge has indefinitely continued the case until money shows up to pay the defense attorneys. And of counsel is going through telling us something about how the prosecutor has tried twice now to get the judge off the case so he can keep it moving forward. And apparently he got shot down a while back by the Supreme Court, and so now he went before the judge himself, and of counsel talks about the reasons that the judge turned him down, at least one of which is probably going to stick. So go take a gander and just kind of wonder about what's going on in Georgia. Now, in our final kind of in-depth talk or thing is In the Moment. And In the Moment is going over, or has a post about the youthful public defender in Kentucky, who's the guy leading the charge against lethal injection death penalty, who is leading that challenge into the Supreme Court. And he makes some comments about the guy, and apparently there's been other people involved in the case, but this is the kid who's been doing it all, or doing most of it, and who's lead on it. And I suggest go reading it. There's a comment afterwards in which the commentator says something to the effect of, well, the news article you're relying on isn't exactly true, and gives some counterpoints. But that doesn't really detract entirely from what the post is about. And so we got a couple short things. Sentencing Law and Policy has posts linking to Fourth Circuit and 11th Circuit decisions, which are applying the modern or the current Supreme Court doctrine on departures from the guidelines, and as opposed to prior. I think the Gall was the case in the Supreme Court, as opposed to prior to that case when, as we all know, departures upwards were just fine, departures downward, no way. So now the 4th and the 11th both approved departures downward, and applied the Supreme Court, got the Supreme Court's message apparently that discretionary guidelines mean discretionary guidelines, guys. And then finally we have public defender stuff, and the Rodneys have finished. All the voting's done. I suggest you go look and see who won this, that, and the other award. I'm not going to list them all. There were several. As I said, I don't really qualify to vote anymore, so I didn't. But I can't say that I disagree with any of the people who won any of the awards, and I congratulate you all. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we reached the end of this video cast. I think I'm going to try to do 2 of these a week. The one at the beginning of the week is going to be whatever I doggone feel like doing at the beginning of the week. So that one might be interesting. And the one at the end of the week, you know, coming Thursday, Friday, maybe even Saturday, depending on what I've got going on. Sorry, folks, if there's a jury trial, you're just not going to be high enough on the priority list. But I'll try to get something in at the end of the week, every week. It's all going to be, at the end of the week, it's going to be like this, you know, the best of the criminal law web. And so hopefully you all tune in every week, at least at the second part of the week, to see what's going on. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a happy week. I hope you all had a good New Year, and I'll see you next week.